It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio today. With us is Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher. We're going to kind of get a fill-in on all of the different things that have been going on over the past, I want to say, a couple of months now.
Sure.
You've been a busy guy. We started out,
busy.
Last time you were here, we talked cowboy hats came back
right
to the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and the deputies were quite happy about that. And then we had you back, and we did a kind of a special outdoor show where we featured Rescue One.
Helicopter. You
were there. Former Sheriff Wall was here.
Right.
We talked about that. And so now today, we've, in the news the last couple of weeks, the first thing that comes to my mind, there's two things that come to my mind, but the Village of Oak Creek is going to have full-time uniformed deputies out in the Village of Oak Creek.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for years now, it's been the volunteers in protection have been out there.
Right, the VIPs.
Right, the VIPs.
Yep.
So what brought this about?
Well, I think there was a couple things, a combination of things. We were starting to see an increase in calls for service. The population of the Village of Oak Creek, I don't think a lot of people realize, but in that 5-mile square area, there's over 6,000 people now living there.
Right.
And in probably the last year and a half, we've taken over 3,200 calls for service. And the Village of Oak Creek is kind of a target area, if you will. There's a lot of transient population coming through, and we see a lot of opportunists coming in to steal, burglars, various things. So it's something that we wanted to focus on. And put some deputies there full time.
It seemed like it was time for it.
Oh yeah.
It seemed like we probably could have had deputies out there a long time ago. But you already have I want to call it a post, but you have an office out there located.
We do have that.
Is the office already set up to handle it? Because it's going to be, is it 4 deputies and a sergeant?
It's going to be 5 now. 5 deputies and a sergeant.
Okay.
Really, that puts on 1 deputy per shift. So it's not going to be that they're all there at one time. I've had some questions about that. What we'll have is a deputy on day, a deputy on at night, a supervisor available to handle any supervisory issues, and we will have an office staff member there for business hours to take in walking traffic and things like that. Okay,
so is this going to be open Monday through Friday? Or
yes.
How's that all going to work in the office space? And if let's say, I have something that's not a major crime. I wasn't burglarized, I wasn't robbed or anything like that, but I've got, I remember there was a time when barbecues were being stolen in people's backyards, and I think it was the Village of Oak Creek where that was happening. If something like that happens, am I supposed to come down, or will I just call 911 and then the deputy would come out to my house?
Well, you can call. I think if it's a delayed crime, you don't need to call 911. That's more for an emergency kind of situation, but there are local publicized phone numbers there that you can call to get a hold of our dispatch, or you can walk into the office during daytime business hours, Monday through Friday, and report it there, and we'll respond to the call for service.
I think it's going to be a good service out there. Village of Oak Creek has needed that, so I think it's a good idea.
It really has.
Is this your idea or the public's idea? The public come to you and say, can we get full-time deputies out there, or did you just decide it was time?
Well, what I did, and I instructed my administrative staff, was to look at our calls for service countywide. And there were 2 areas that we really saw that we needed to increase our presence because of calls for service. One was the Village of Oak Creek, the other was Black Canyon City.
Okay.
And so we then went to community meetings and asked the community members, what is your biggest issues here involving the sheriff's office? What can we do? We had our statistics, and we saw that there were burglaries and there were this and that, and we'd say, here's what we perceive to be the problems. They'd say, no, that's not it. Here's what we see. So it's always good for us to go and talk to the communities. And one of them in the village was just the lack of presence, the response time in getting there, the concern of some of the more violent type crimes. We were seeing some home invasions.
Yeah, we have one of those out there.
Right, a very violent home invasion out there involving a gun, and just other concerns that they had. So we went ahead and we took staff from other areas of the county that didn't have that amount of calls for service, and it was kind of a shifting of staff placement.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
And what we did ask for with the Board of Supervisors in this budget was an increase of a deputy position to sergeant, so that we could create a sergeant position to have a supervisor there in the village, and they approved that. And I believe September 2nd is when we'll actually formally open up the office with that new squad.
Okay, all right. You've got a deputy on a regular basis in Cornville, too. I saw him this morning. As a matter of fact, I may have seen 2 deputies there this morning as I rolled through, and that's pushing 5 a.m.
Right.
So what are you guys doing in Cornville? Just...
Well, the biggest complaint we've been getting out of the Cornville area in a lot of areas is traffic.
Okay.
And so what we're looking for is some voluntary compliance from those commuting to and from. And it's usually early in the morning going to work or coming back after work. And we want to have a visual presence. You may see the radar trailers set up. And we like to go out and let people see us there, let them see the radar trailer, how fast they're going, hoping we'll get some voluntary compliance for them to slow down.
Yeah, 25 through there.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, then we may go in and write some warnings. And if that's still not working, we'll go in and do tickets. So,
well, it keeps me under control.
Well, good. Me too.
I always figure I'm going to see, I don't know if I'm going to see a YCSO deputy right there at Beaverhead Flats Road in Cornville Road or right in Cornville, but usually I want to call it downtown Cornville.
Yeah.
I'll see a deputy sitting there in the morning and think, okay, you know, he's just going to make sure everyone's doing 25 through here because it is a, you know, little residential, little downtown area. The jail popped up. We're looking at building a new jail. We had Supervisor Davis, and he kind of talked about how the fact it's time to look at the future.
Right.
And what's wrong with the current Prescott jail that we can't maybe remodel it and use that one as opposed to building a brand new one?
Well, you know, and that is something that we could do. That there's some things going on in Prescott. There's a lot of issues. The jail's kind of a complex business, if you will, and that, number one, it's very costly for us as taxpayers. And I'm no more or less a taxpayer than anyone else, so I really look at, and I'm very fiscally accountable with our budget money. The Prescott jail was completed in the 70s, and it was designed upstairs in an office. And it makes it difficult to get inmates and prisoners in and out of that office building on an upper level. The design of the facility itself is linear, and by that I mean it's designed with long hallways and cells all set up, so you actually have to be there and moving to observe inmates. The design of it itself is considered, in today's standard, very deficient. It was back in the late 90s that the Department of Justice came into the Prescott facility based on complaints they were getting from attorneys and inmates that it was violating their civil rights because of overcrowding, the way it was designed, the medical facility in the jail wasn't adequate enough to handle medical concerns. And yes, we have to provide medical care to inmates. So if an inmate comes in with a serious medical condition and they're in our care and custody, we have to provide them with medical. That facility really, truly, nowadays is very deficient. It has 120 some beds. For us, on a daily, monthly basis, to handle the judicial proceedings in Prescott, all the court traffic in Prescott, we would need probably 250 to 300 beds in Prescott. And then we wouldn't have to transport from Camp Verde to Prescott, theoretically. So the Prescott jail is small, it's in an office building, it's deficient in design. Could we deal with it? Yes, but it's not very work-friendly. It creates more staff than if we were to have a more modern design facility like we have in Camp Verde, where it's pod circular design. You put a control tower in the center of the pod and you just look around and you can see everyone.
Right.
That takes 1 or 2 people compared to 8 people walking up and down the corridor.
Makes sense.
And staffing is our biggest cost. 80% of our budget is staffing. So if we can reduce that, that helps us. The other issue with over in the Prescott area is just trying to get those buses into the county building there. It also houses probation, county attorney's office, dispatches there. So to try to get a bus in there is very difficult.
Not a very safe spot to do it either.
No, it's just, I mean, if we had to use it, as we are now, for booking and intake, we're using it. But it really, if we want to look ahead down the road for the whole criminal justice system, because everyone utilizes the jail. Attorneys go there to see the inmates, their clients for judicial proceedings. Medically, we have to provide religious services. We cook 50,000 meals a month.
Wow, your regular
for
cruise
inmates.
ship. Yeah, okay.
So, you know, we have to be able to do that. And the Prescott Jail has a very small kitchen. So it's just, we have grown and we outgrew it. It's outdated.
Yeah.
It's just not very efficient.
And it's not going to be built tomorrow, but this is something we're looking at in the near future.
Sure. And the dollars, that's what it's going to be about. You know, we have to look ahead because Yavapai County has a jail district. The jail district is going to expire in 2019.
Okay.
Now that jail district gives us 1/4 cent of sales tax. And with that money, that helps pay for the jail. That's going to expire 2019. So our new Board of Supervisors coming in have some real, you know, difficult things to start to look at. And it's pretty complex. It involves taxes and jail districts. If that doesn't work out, then it goes back to the burden of the inmates, to the individual cities who bring those inmates to the jail.
Right.
So there's a lot of things coming up that we have to look at when we look at a Prescott jail.
You're going to be a busy guy. All right. Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today. I'm Paul David. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll come back with more from Countywide.
So I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Well, we talked about that. He talked about how it was...
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 110 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 600% increase in the last 20 years. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Danse, balance sur la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches, au bal du dimanche. Danse, que la fête commence. Dans ma belle...
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today. We've talked the village of Oak Creek, the deputies going out there. We talked about the jail. We'll have a new one somewhere down the road. Recently you announced that the PANT team and several other task forces have kind of been put under the same umbrella. Tell me more about that one. It seemed like a good idea.
Well, it is a good idea, and it's something that we've needed to do as partners, law enforcement partners across the county. Basically, a little history. PANT started back in the late 80s.
Wow, that long ago, okay.
Yep, and it was called the Prescott Area Narcotics Task Force. And as it began to grow and other agencies began to get involved in it, it became the Partners Against Narcotics Trafficking, more on a county-wide
Yeah, there was an office
level.
in Prescott and one in Cottonwood.
Right.
Okay.
And that was with PANT. The sheriff's office also had its own narcotic unit, a special crimes unit that would go out and do the same thing as these other two units. And then we, of course, had our canines, who that you've heard about and we've talked about before, all working the same county, all working sometimes the same cases inadvertently. So we all met, we being the chiefs and all involved, the partners in the oversight committee, and decided to join this under one umbrella. We had also recently started a prescription drug abuse task force.
I saw that come up on a press release, and that kind of, I hadn't heard that, so
right.
I was curious about that too.
Yeah, that again is just another unit out doing illegal drug investigation and enforcement. So really the best thing, the most efficient thing, the most cost-effective thing, and the most productive thing for us in the county was to join those forces and to have all intelligence and narcotics information funnel into that one umbrella, where we now have people who answer phone calls and work directly even with silent witness to focus more effectively on narcotics enforcement. And Paul, narcotics in our communities and on a national level is always involved in all kinds of crime, whether it's methamphetamines, cocaine, heroin, prescription drug abuse. We see the burglaries, the robberies, the homicides. It's all involved in criminal activity. So in order for us in Yavapai County to keep the quality of life we have a great place we live here in Yavapai County. Our crime rate continues to go down even today. We have to stay on top of these things. And this just helps us focus more on those issues and be more effective in enforcing those narcotics issues.
You just rounded up 48.
Right, we did.
Yeah, you just rounded up 48. Now, were they all prescription drug dealers, or are these prescription drug abusers?
Well, we had a combination. There was even a doctor that was charged.
Right.
We had a doctor that was doing things that we believe he shouldn't have been doing, and of course everybody's innocent until proven guilty, so I can't get into the case, but I can tell you personally, he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing, and he was arrested, and I know that they're looking at other people across the county even now as we speak, because we have the people who are providing the drugs, we have the people who are buying the drugs and selling, and all the way down to street level.
Right. Now 48. That's a lot to round up in,
that is.
What was it, a week or 2 weeks' time?
Actually, we did it in about a day and a half.
Day and a half.
We had prepared the cases for months. 4 or 5 months. We worked on these. We'd actually gone to the county attorney's office and created files on each suspect with photos and arrest warrants, and then prepared the jail for here comes 48 people, and then you have to prepare the judicial side of it, the judges and the attorneys. It just creates an issue for everyone.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, 48 people all at once like that.
Oh yeah, it creates issues just in where to put them in the jail. Our Verde jail right now probably has close to 600 inmates in it today, and we have 644 beds. So you can see if we bring in 40, 50 people, it creates a lot of work and supervisory issues for just the whole criminal justice system.
So we're going to continue to make a dent on this prescription drug. I mean, that's a huge dent, probably right there.
It is, but there's a lot more of it going on. Millions and millions.
It's true what they say. You take one away, another one steps into its place, right?
Yeah. The narcotics use is something that we're never going to see go away. The illegal use, whether it's methamphetamines, prescription drug abuse, whatever it is, it's a constant battle. And if it's not one drug as a preference, a year later it's something else. And we just need to stay on it and focus on it. And I think the men and women in our narcotics enforcement, the canines, the detectives out there, just doing a great job for all of us. I can't thank them enough.
We'll take another break.
Sure.
Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today. I'm Paul David. We'll take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll come back and wrap up the program. Stick around.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I was in junior high the first time I caught my mom using denial. She had to have known her painkillers were missing because I kept stealing them. Her denial was so out of hand.
So she doesn't even know?
I'm going out.
It was like I could get away with anything.
You kids have fun.
And that was when I knew. When she was addicted to denial.
Denial is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left of the program. Yavapai County Sheriff Scott Mascher in studio today. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, last time I had you with me, we were outside and we were in the parking lot next door at the church, and we landed Rescue 1 right there and talked about Rescue 1. Right. How's that working out, that little helicopter?
That little helicopter is doing great.
Yeah.
Since then, and I don't remember how many months that's been, 5,
I don't
6
either.
months, somewhere around that.
I don't even know time anymore. It goes by so fast.
It really does, but I just looked this week. We had 28 missions so far with the helicopter since we last talked.
Wow.
And again, they're primarily rescue missions. We're not using it for law enforcement and things like that. Something may come up one day, some exigent situation, but the primary mission for that is search and rescue. We have our Forest Patrol sergeant and lieutenant that kind of oversee it, and they've been utilizing it as needed and finding people lost. We cannot rely on DPS helicopter. We get maybe 50% of the time if we do need them. They can show up, the rest of the time they can't. So it's really good to have this. And when someone's life is endangered and we need to find them and get them out of there so they don't die of exposure, this is the tool we needed, and it's working out very well for us.
You used it with the helicopter crash recently in Camp Verde.
Yes, that Camp Verde helicopter crash, that tragic crash, we were down there. It was in a remote area of that canyon in the river, and we were able to get in there and do some recovery and investigation with NTSB on that.
We got about 20 seconds left. What's the big thing for Sheriff Scott Mascher in the next year?
Well, the biggest thing is we're going to continue just to focus on our priorities, and that's calls for service. That's the real big priority, is our patrol deputies, our men and women out there who are answering our calls for service. The 911 calls, Yavapai County is huge. We're still far and few between, but our men and women are working hard. They're doing a great job. I can't thank them enough for what they're doing. If you see them out there, say hello to them and thank them for what they're doing.
Yeah, they do that too.
Yeah, they're working hard.
Well, Sheriff Mascher, thank you for coming in today. I know you had a busy schedule, and we squeezed you in. And
Thank you.
Actually, you squeezed us in, I think. So I appreciate your time. I'm Paul David. That's today's Countywide. We will talk to you again next time.